Fire her. Get rid of that black cleaning lady right now. General Manager Ethan Harrison hissed into the mic as he saw the delegation entering the lobby. Victor Zhang stepped across the red carpet with 6 associates. Ethan straightened his tie, smiling. "Welcome to the Wellington." Victor only nodded, then spoke immediately in Mandarin. Ethan's smile faltered. He pulled up the human-like AI translator app. The machine voice broke syllables awkwardly, making Victor pause. Ethan had to admit, "I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Zhang. None of our staff speak Mandarin." The air seemed to drop a few degrees. The delegation exchanged glances. Bad sign. At the edge of the scene, a black woman in a gray uniform pushed a cleaning cart past. Name tag, Olivia Thomas. No one knew that, back in her rented room, hung a Harvard bachelor's degree and a master's from Peking University. In just a few hours, she would rewrite this meeting. 3 hours earlier. The Wellington was like a stage waiting for the curtain to drop. Ethan rapped on the table. 2 p.m., Mr. Victor Zhang arrives. If we make his list, the Wellington gets its wings. The head chef presented Chinese fusion dishes. Maintenance kept the presidential suite at 72 degrees Fahrenheit. A manager timidly asked, "Should we hire an interpreter?" Mr. Zhang prefers Mandarin. Ethan waved it off. His assistant says he speaks perfect English. The translation app just got an update. Nearly human. Leaving the room, Ethan told Emma Brooks, head of housekeeping, "Your team is invisible today. Rooms need to be spotless, like magic." In the East Wing, Olivia tucked hospital corner sheets, placed a white tea and jasmine diffuser in a shaded corner, murmuring in Mandarin. Keep it away from the sun so the scent spreads evenly. In her bag, a dog-eared Chinese economics magazine, a worn Chinese-English dictionary. The radio crackled, VIP arriving in 50 minutes. 4 years in housekeeping, labor rendered invisible. Olivia had returned from Beijing with dreams of an international career. Reality was student loans breathing down her neck. 217 job applications, 63 interviews, 0 offers. The Wellington was hiring cleaners, and she needed rent money. Temporary, she told herself, until temporary became year 4. She had witnessed million-dollar meetings through door cracks, silently correcting bad translations in her head while emptying trash cans. 2 p.m. black SUVs stopped in front of the lobby. Victor stepped out. Charcoal suit. He spoke to his team in Mandarin. Grace Lin, an associate, translated a few pleasantries. Mr. Zhang is impressed by the architecture. The presidential suite is ready. The chef has prepared a Chinese fusion menu. But Olivia, circling with her cart, heard Victor's real words. The decor is acceptable, but I'm concerned they won't understand our needs. In the executive boardroom, Ethan began, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is an investment opportunity." Victor cut in with Mandarin. Vertical zoning regulations around the financial district compared to Shanghai. Grace watered it down into a generic line. Ethan smiled awkwardly. "We'll have our legal team respond in detail." Victor pressed on. Recent changes to foreign investment tax laws for mixed-use hotel retail complexes. Ethan clung to the translation app. "Please speak into this." Victor spoke. The screen spat out, "Chicken tax, hotel mooncake." Ethan tried again, slowly. "Foreign money, tree law, change question important now." The room froze. The tech lifeline had sprung a leak. "Give us 5 minutes," Ethan said. Outside, he gathered the team. Daniel Price, finance. "I can handle basic tax, but the international part needs an expert." Assistant. "The partner interpreting service requires a 30-minute minimum to get someone. The only candidate just called in sick." One suggested focusing on visuals, another on a demo. Security chief joked, "My cousin once learned Chinese, but he's in another state." Noah Kim, IT. The app's for casual talk, not legal business vocabulary. Ethan realized. Time's up. Back inside. Apologies for the technical issue. We propose rescheduling the presentation for tomorrow morning to ensure proper interpretation. Grace translated. Victor checked his watch, conferred briefly with his team. A few leather folders closed. Message received. They'd focus on 2 other meetings. Wellington might be crossed off. In the hallway, Olivia wiped the same strip of molding, stalling. She'd heard and understood both languages. In her head, 2 voices clashed. Self-preservation. Don't cross the line. Last time they told you, stay in your lane, and self-respect, you know how to untangle this. She glanced through the glass. Ethan, the man who'd just ordered her fired, now looked like he was watching his career crumble on the spot. If she stayed silent, her own window of opportunity, and that of many other invisible workers, would slam shut. Olivia pulled off her gloves, adjusted her bun, took a deep breath. She pushed the door open, standing at the threshold. "Excuse me." Ethan scowled. Not now. Olivia ignored him, locking eyes with Victor, speaking flawless Mandarin. "Mr. Zhang, I clearly heard your questions about recent foreign investment regulations and vertical zoning. If you permit, I can assist with interpretation and clarification so we can communicate accurately." The room went still. For the first time since arriving at the Wellington, Victor looked genuinely surprised. And Ethan. He saw an invisible line being crossed right in front of him. Victor neither nodded nor shook his head. Tilting his head slightly, he seemed to signal the start of a test. In rapid Mandarin, with a few regional dialect variations mixed in, he asked bluntly, "The city has just changed vertical zoning around the financial district. What's the impact on a hotel project integrated with retail?" Olivia responded instantly, also in Mandarin. The new framework allows mixed-use models with a maximum height of 40 floors, if circulation metrics are met. Projects that sit on both a tourism corridor and an international business belt will be prioritized. Wellington meets both, so it qualifies for dual advantages in permits and taxation. She made brief comparisons to Shanghai and Beijing to show familiarity with urban governance structures in Chinese markets. Several associates clicked their pens to take notes. Grace Lynn stepped back from her role as bridge. Ethan's slides faded into the background. Victor pressed on. "What about the change in foreign investment tax if the project has a cultural component?" Olivia replied that the city has a time-bound tax reduction program for projects incorporating genuine cultural exchange. If Wellington set up a proper, functioning tea service, not just decorative, the project would check multiple incentive boxes. Ethan interjected, "Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Let's return to the presentation. You just need to translate." Polite words, but a clear order to go back to your place. Olivia relayed the translation, but Victor waved it off. "No need. I want to hear her perspective." Olivia's seat slid from the edge of the room to the center of the table. She chose thought translation over a speech. Speaking to Victor in Mandarin, then summarizing for Ethan and the team, she said, "Mr. Zhang is interested in adjusting the product to fit the habits of Chinese business travelers. At least 3 areas need change. 1. The tea rhythm. Wellington has bars everywhere but lacks a dedicated tea lounge near meeting spaces. For Asian guests, tea is the preparation rhythm before negotiation," she said. Suggestion: a small tea lounge, fixed tea times, a few lines of white tea oolong pu-erh, with a simplified ritual. 2. Room configuration. Many guests combine business trips with a few days for family. We lack connecting rooms and flexible policies, Olivia said. Suggestion: connecting room packages. Prioritize east-facing suites for premium tiers with late checkout options. 3. Digital payment. The current process doesn't have WeChat Pay, Alipay at the front desk, restaurants, or minibar. A quick dynamic QR system could be deployed. IT would need to handle provider KYC and reconciliation. Low cost, immediate impact. She paused. These aren't about exoticizing Chinese guests. It's simply turning on the right language for the listener. Victor smiled slightly. Product market fit in the cultural sense. Ethan tried to steer back. We've prepared ROI, NPV, IRR. Victor cut him off. I'll review the numbers. I need to see reasoning ability. Then he accelerated his speech, tossing in jargon only insiders use. Compared to my asset in Shanghai, what risks at the Wellington need immediate explanation to authorities? Olivia outlined 3 concise risks. 1. Circulation pressure when integrating retail requires a crowd flow management plan to avoid permit violations. 2. Retail hotel cash flow control should be separated via an SPV legal entity and internal SLAs for clear auditing. 3. Localized communications. Avoid surface-level cynicization. Focus on effective messaging for the business traveler segment. The atmosphere shifted. Pens raced. Grace looked at Olivia as an equal. Victor leaned in. Academic background? I graduated from Harvard in International Relations, Master's in East Asian Linguistics and International Business from Peking University. I lived in Beijing for 5 years. Advisor? Professor Li Wei. Victor laughed. My wife's cousin. A thread of Guanxi sealed trust. Olivia didn't stop at credentials. She landed on a 30-day solution. 1. Tea lounge plus tea schedule. 2. Integrate WeChat Pay/Alipay. 3rd. Multi-generation room package. 3 pilots, low cost, measurable, she said, deliberately stressing measurable. On feng shui she was succinct. Treat it as a framework for attention to flow. East-facing water elements, privacy levels, expressed through operations, not talismans. Victor turned to Ethan. I want Ms. Thomas in this meeting not just as an interpreter, but as someone who understands both cultures. The slides can wait. It was an order. Ethan forced a smile. Of course. He looked at the remote as if it were useless. In the minutes that followed came a rapid-fire exchange on zoning, cultural exchange tax incentives, and digital payment procedures. Olivia answered crisply, with examples and timelines. One associate leaned back, setting down his pen. This is refreshing. Victor smiled again. At the center of the table, the presentation had transformed into a co-design session, and leading it was the black cleaning woman who had been told to disappear at the start of the day. The door to power closed on every presentation that had been prepared for weeks, but opened precisely for the one person Ethan had wanted to make disappear that morning. The focus of the meeting was now squarely on the black cleaning woman sitting calmly at the front half of the table. Olivia Thomas. Victor rested his elbow on the table's edge, shifting his tone as though moving into the second phase of an interrogation. Suppose we put retail on the podium floors, with the hotel starting from the 6th floor up. What's the biggest compliance risk when integrating foot traffic? Olivia didn't need to look at any notes. First, traffic flow. The new zoning allows mixed use up to 40 floors, but requires proof there won't be a bottleneck during peak hours. Second, fire safety protocols must be separated by function. We'd need 2 independent yet complementary evacuation diagrams. Third, the retail loading bay can't cut across the hotel's back-of-house flow. She spoke crisply, in order, then moved straight to how to wire in the process. We set an internal SLA between retail and hotel, monitored by KPIs on guest flow and waste disposal time. Consolidated reporting, but separate accounting via an SPV for clear auditing. Grace glanced up and gave the faintest nod, a mark of respect from one professional to another. Ethan suddenly realized he'd read the game wrong from the start. No one was buying slides. They were buying reasoning ability. Victor pressed harder. Compared to our property in the Shanghai Expo District, what would Wellington be questioned on first by the authorities? Olivia delivered 3 sharp points. 1. Proof of no sidewalk encroachment when tourist volume spikes. 2. Noise reduction plans after 10 p.m. for the retail block. 3. An operational culture index measured by real behavior. T-Lounge usage rate, WeChat Pay, Alipay transactions, connecting room booking rate, avoiding surface-level cynicization. The associate to Victor's left put down his pen. Useful. Ethan tried to regain ground. We have strong ROI, NPV, IRR. Victor waved a hand. Not rudely, but decisively. I'll read the numbers. I want to see the logic behind them. Olivia picked up the rhythm without taking over the floor. We propose 3 30-day pilots. A genuine tea lounge with a fixed tea schedule, WeChat Pay/Alipay integration via dynamic QR at the front desk, restaurants and minibar, and a multi-generation room package with flexible late checkout. Each pilot tied to a KPI, F&B revenue during tea hours, number of digital transactions, connecting room booking rate, low cost, measurable, reversible if ineffective. The atmosphere shifted with something inaudible. Trust. Victor leaned back in his chair, moving into the identity portion. Your academic background? Bachelor's from Harvard in International Relations, Master's from Peking University in East Asian Linguistics and International Business. Lived in Beijing for 5 years. Advisor? Professor Li Wei. Victor smiled. My wife's cousin. A Guanxi link quietly locked into place. Ethan interjected, trying to be polite yet keep control. Miss Thomas will assist with interpretation, but for content we'd like... Victor shook his head. I want to hear her. The slides can wait. A few directors along the wall exchanged looks. The balance had fully shifted. Then Victor unexpectedly slowed his voice. With this capability, why are you in housekeeping? Not a trap. More the question of a business person assessing human risk. Olivia didn't complain. Student debt to repay. I've sent over 200 applications, gone through over 60 interviews. No one offered the right opportunity. Wellington was hiring cleaning staff. I needed rent money. I figured I could still learn while waiting for a door to open. She smiled faintly, and today it opened. Victor looked over at Ethan. The gaze was calm, but scalpel sharp. Grace translated every word. In my company, we have a talent identification program to avoid misallocation like this. Overlooking talent like Miss Thomas isn't just an oversight, it's a competitive disadvantage. Ethan swallowed hard. In a clear instant, he saw that all the operational finesse he'd prided himself on had blinded him to real people. Olivia didn't drive the point in. She steered the discussion back to solutions, a week-by-week cultural integration plan. Week 1. Survey tea menu, set tea lounge sound and light levels. Script a simplified tea ritual. Week 2. Integrate intermediary PSP, check KYC AML, train cashiers for dynamic QR scanning. Week 3. Configure room combos, adjust late checkout policy, test Mandarin language welcome lineup. Week 4. Measure KPIs, hold retrospective, decide on expansion or rollback. Victor's associates nodded at one another. They can execute. At that point, Victor leaned forward, speaking to Ethan through Grace. Your hotel has potential for our portfolio. Miss Thomas has identified compatibility I didn't see in the documents. Ethan exhaled, like someone pulling himself back from a cliff edge. We're grateful for the chance to prove ourselves, he said sincerely. Then Victor asked the closing question. What's Miss Thomas's official title at Wellington? Ethan hesitated half a second, enough for the room to hear the choice. Truth or spin. He chose truth. Housekeeping. Silence. Victor turned to Olivia, switching back to Mandarin. With your degrees and experience, you clean rooms? It's honest work while I find the right role, she replied. Victor shook his head slightly, a valuable resource placed on the wrong shelf. He pulled out a black and gold embossed business card, offering it with both hands in perfect etiquette. My direct contact. If you're interested, I'll review your file. No translation was needed. The gesture spoke for itself. Ethan watched, hearing no words but understanding all of it. He turned to Olivia, his voice less rigid. After the meeting, let's talk about your role at Wellington. As Victor's team stood, Grace shook Olivia's hand. Professional to professional, you did well. Victor's final words through Grace came as an investor's warning, even with his wallet open. I suggest Wellington review its talent policy. In a global economy, ignoring ability like Ms. Thomas's is tying your own hands. Ethan nodded, no longer defensive. We understand. The door closed. Ethan stood still, fingers unconsciously gripping the remote, a relic of the old way. Olivia stood by the table, looking at the black card. On the back, a phone number was embossed deep. She thought of her cramped rental, the overdue notice still taped to the mirror. Suddenly, both felt small compared to the new space that had just opened up, a career in its rightful name. Olivia inhaled, slid the card into her pocket. For a moment, the crystal chandelier's light reflected off the table like silver Mandarin characters. She knew. Today, she hadn't just saved a deal. She had redefined Wellington and herself. 1 month later, the elevator doors opened onto the executive floor. Confident footsteps struck a steady rhythm on the marble floor. Olivia Thomas, no longer in her gray uniform, stepped out in a charcoal suit, her new name badge gleaming, Director of International Guest Relations. On her desk sat a jade-green ceramic teapot beside a QR code scanner, 2 symbols from 2 worlds she had bridged. On the shelf, books on linguistics, hotel management, and project management. Next to them, her master's degree from Peking University and a letter of intent from Zhang International confirming the Wellington as a new portfolio asset. A single line made her exhale. The delinquent mark on her student loan account had changed to manageable. In the main conference room, 30 employees from every department filled the seats. The projector lit up. Hidden Talents Initiative, recognizing the whole person behind every position. Olivia scanned the faces, many still showing traces of night shift. Housekeeping, maintenance, kitchen, front desk, concierge. A month ago, I pushed a cleaning cart past this very room, she began. Today, we're mapping your hidden skills to the real needs of this hotel. The slide changed. 40% of employees spoke at least one foreign language. 65% had degrees or certifications unrelated to their current role. 78% had specialized skills never used at work. A murmur rose, the sound of people suddenly being seen. At the back, Ethan Harrison stood with his notebook closed. Since the meeting with Victor, he'd overhauled several processes: mandatory full resume reviews for all roles, a new skills and languages outside job description section, an internal application channel for frontline staff, tiered language stipends. He no longer showed off a translation app before meetings. Instead, he asked, "Who's the best at translating context for this session?" Olivia moved into the details of the 3 30-day pilots she had promised. First, tea lounge and tea schedule. Not a decorative corner, but an operational space measured by kpias: low tables, straight-back chairs, white tea, oolong, pu'er, a set tea time from 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. before negotiation blocks. A short SOP, water at 85 to 95 degrees Celsius, steeping times for each type, low-pour etiquette for offering tea, F&B training, 2 hands-on sessions, 1 cultural context briefing, why, not just how, 2 WeChat Pay Alipay integration. With Noah Kim IT, Wellington integrated via an intermediary, PSP, dynamic QR code scanners linked to each bill, not static codes taped to a wall, KYC AML completed, reconciliations twice a day, printed receipts with reference codes for accounting to track cash flow, training for front desk and cashiers, handling device changes, unstable networks, and refunds. 3. Multi-generation room package. Ava Reed, sales, designed connecting room combos, east-facing priority for suites, flexible late checkout, hourly bilingual secretary service. Daniel Price, finance, calculated profit margins after adjusting housekeeping schedules and cleaning configurations. Olivia caught herself and corrected, housekeeping, not cleaning, to avoid hidden cost creep. The KPI slide lit up. T-hour F&B revenue up 18% over baseline. Digital transactions reached 32% among Chinese guests. Connecting room bookings rose 22% in weeks 3 through 4. 17 employees were recognized for valuable skills, 3 promoted, 5 received language stipends. But Olivia emphasized the most important point. All 30 out of 30 names on today's list are entering individual development plans. No one is invisible anymore. During the break, Ethan approached, his voice sincere without a script. "Thank you. And sorry for that day." Olivia nodded, lightly, as one accepts a part of the past to move forward. "We still have work to do," she said. Ethan replied, "Training budgets approved." "Roll it out." That afternoon, a delegation from Shanghai arrived. Olivia stood in the lobby, her Mandarin flowing smoothly. Welcome greetings, tea lounge directions, QR payment instructions, multi-generation package introductions. As the elevator doors closed, she saw Eli Nguyen, a student engineer working in maintenance, adjusting a light fixture. He had just enrolled in the hotel's internal data analytics course. Their eyes met, a nod between those who had once been unseen. Back in her office, an email from Grace Lynn. "Thanks for the meeting recap. Professional to professional. Your approach worked because you respected context, not just words." Olivia smiled. On the wall opposite, the roadmap hung neatly. In 90 days, expand the tea lounge into partnered tea service for MICE events. Integrate Alipay Plus for pop-up vendors. Test a WeChat mini program for in-room service booking. As night fell, Ethan stood beneath the old chandelier, remembering the phrases chicken tax and hotel mooncake, 2 stinging wake-up calls. In his notebook, he wrote, "People before tools. Language is a business asset." See page 2. He smiled to himself. Sometimes, losing control at the right moment is the art of leadership. Across the boulevard, Victor Zhang ended a call with his legal team. "Send Wellington the cultural integration checklist we use in Tokyo and Singapore. he instructed. "That team knows how to learn." His hand brushed the inside of his wallet, where the black business card no longer sat. No rush. The right doors open at the right time. At the end of the day, Olivia paused before the mirror, removing her new name badge. She remembered the words, "Stay in your lane," from years ago, an irritating but useful reminder. A lane only exists if you accept it. She turned off the office lights, glancing at the tea lounge still warm with the scent of tea, the QR scanner silent. A hotel, once only beautiful, was now growing in depth. And in that space, the black cleaning woman of the past was not only seen, she was making others seen. At the far end of the corridor, the digital board displayed Wellington's new motto, "See the whole person." Not just a slogan, an operational commitment. And it had all begun with one, "Excuse me," slicing through the thick air of an afternoon that had nearly ended in failure. Rumors spread faster than the scent of hot tea. Just 1 week after Olivia presented Hidden Talents, the Wellington lobby was buzzing with whispers. Why are they favoring Chinese guests? Is the tea lounge taking space away from the bar? Is WeChat Pay even safe? At the bar, a veteran bartender didn't hide his irritation. "We're an international hotel, not a tea house." Ethan overheard, exhaled, and simply said, "Call Olivia." Olivia brought no slides, only a notebook. "Favoritism or segmentation?" she asked. "When we serve European MICE groups, we adjust the wine list and dining schedule. For Chinese business travelers, we adjust tea timing and payment methods. That's not bias, it's matching the audience." She quickly sketched a value cycle. Tea lounge draws guests into negotiation windows, increasing F&B revenue. Digital payments reduce friction. Multi-generation packages increase LTV. The bartender lowered his voice. "Fine, as long as it doesn't turn into a show." Olivia smiled. "Agreed. Real rituals, real operations, real KP is. If not, we scrap it." That afternoon, an unplanned stress test hit. A delegation from Shanghai finished lunch and wanted to pay with the WeChat Pay. The scanner threw an error. The cashier retried, still red. Noah Kim, IT, rushed over. PSP blocked the transaction due to a flagged MCC risk. Daniel Price, Finance, went pale. How do we get this into the books today? On the PSP's back end, a risk hold warning flashed yellow. If not cleared within 60 minutes, it would go to manual review, meaning frozen funds. Olivia stepped into the lobby, switched to Mandarin, and asked the guests for 5 minutes. "We're verifying our merchant category code to ensure compliance. Today's afternoon tea is on the house." She signaled to Sophia, F&B, to serve assorted dim sum, not to appease, but to keep the pace steady. Turning back, she told Noah, "Call the PSP account manager, put it on speaker." In 7 minutes, Olivia explained, using PSP's own terms, MCC, dynamic QR, settlement batches, then immediately sent a bilingual email with a transaction flow diagram and the hotel's internal SLA attached. 12 minutes later, the account manager cleared the flag. "Reassign proper MCC 5812 for F&B, granting temporary exception." The scanner turned green. The guests paid, smiling. Joignier, or professional. Before anyone could breathe, City Inspector Roger Fields appeared to check the tea lounge. He flipped through his notes. "Does this area prepare hot food? Where's your food service permit?" Even a minor violation could shut it down temporarily. Ethan broke into a sweat. Olivia presented the tea lounge SOP. No kitchen, no open flame, only temperature-controlled electric kettles. Cold prep food from a licensed kitchen. She proposed a reclassification. Beverage service with ceremonial elements. Roger studied the layout, noted changes, then nodded. Post heat warnings and update seating maps to maintain clear egress. I'll grant temporary approval. Ethan nearly leaned against the wall in relief. Later that afternoon, Linda Parker, Regional VP, arrived to audit Wellington's compliance with Zhang International's LOI conditions. Linda was a stickler for process, SOPs, checklists, KPIs. She walked the tea lounge, ran a hand along the rim of a teapot. Nice initiative, but can it scale? Olivia didn't sell it with pretty words. She handed over an 18-page playbook. Role definitions, SOPs, KPIs, equipment specs, safety checklists, and 3-session training scripts. Linda flipped through, stopping at a page labeled Translate Context, Not Words. Whose line is this? Grace Lynn, Olivia answered. Linda nodded slowly. In the boardroom, Linda questioned Ethan. Why has Ms. Thomas, a former black housekeeper, become a director so quickly? The question was genuine, not hostile. Ethan didn't dodge, because we were blind to talent, and because she saved the deal. Linda turned to Olivia. If I tasked you with writing a cultural integration manual for the entire chain, what would you need? Data, Olivia replied. A breakdown of guest behaviors by nationality, length of stay, LTV, POS log access to measure tea lounge impact, and a training budget for frontline teams. Linda's lips curved slightly. Reasonable. But resistance in a system doesn't just come from regulations or technology, it comes from people. That evening, Emma Brooks, head of housekeeping, knocked on Olivia's door. I'm proud of you, Emma said, but my team's worried. They fear the hidden message is, to be recognized, you have to leave housekeeping. Olivia knew that pain better than anyone. Emma, hidden talents isn't a one-way street. If someone wants to stay in housekeeping, we still recognize their expertise and pay language or skill stipends when they use them. You could co-lead a workshop, the guest journey from a housekeeping perspective. No one understands the backstage experience better than your team. Emma smiled, eyes glistening. Deal. The next day, another arrow flew in. Competitor Regent Aurora launched ads for a Tea Emperor Suite and Mooncake Festival, a gaudy copy of Wellington's story, even lifting the phrase Hotel Mooncake from Ethan's infamous translation blunder. Social media buzzed. Ethan frowned. They're twisting the meaning. Olivia stayed calm. Even better. The more they turn culture into a performance, the more we stand out by doing it authentically. Her directive was sharp and simple. No gaudy decor, no cliché Chinese background music. Keep the tea rhythm and real conversations. That evening, Victor called. My board votes in 10 days. I want a live site readiness demo with these criteria: zoning compliance, digital payment integration, tea lounge in real operation, and immediate responses in Mandarin or Cantonese. My senior board member speaks Cantonese. Ethan looked at Olivia. She nodded. Done. Inside, she smiled faintly. Cantonese was another skill she had, once dismissed as too niche on her resume. Night fell, and the lobby went quiet. Ethan and Olivia sat beneath the chandelier, going through the checklist. Have you read page 2 yet? Olivia teased, half serious. Ethan grinned. Yes. And I'm learning to read the whole person. She jotted that in her notebook, closed it, and stood. The game had shifted, from proving to standardizing for scale. But first came the final test, where there was no room for decoration or promises. Demo day. The Zhang International Board's meeting was set for 8 p.m. their time. Here, it was morning. The Wellington's boardroom had been turned into a live studio. Wide-angle cameras, clip-on mics, a split screen showing the tea lounge, front desk, POS dashboard, and zoning maps. Linda Parker sat in the back like a silent judge. Ethan ran through the final checks. Noah, signal steady? Steady. Sophia, T at 85 to 95 degrees Celsius. Yes. Daniel, cash flow model updated? It's in the sheet. Olivia took a deep breath, brushing her fingers lightly over the black business card in her jacket pocket. Not to flaunt it, but to remind herself of the standard she had to meet today. The storm came 10 minutes early. A travel Twitter account posted a meme, Hotel Moon Cake. Translate to close the deal? Under a garish ad from Regent Aurora. Teasing messages flooded in. Ethan pressed his lips together. We don't react. Olivia nodded. We do it right. She sent one line to the team. Don't perform. Serve. The feed went live. On screen appeared Victor Zhang and 5 board members, silver-haired, eyes difficult to read. To his right sat a thin, bespectacled man speaking Cantonese to Victor. Victor opened in English, then switched to Mandarin. Let's start with zoning. Olivia walked them through a GIS overlay, city map, vertical zoning and tourism business districts layered over the Wellington's location. We sit in 2 priority zones, qualifying for dual incentives, she said in Mandarin, then compressed it into English for Linda and Ethan. She zoomed in on evacuation routes, guest flow, and anti-bottleneck solutions for peak hours. The board took notes. The thin man beside Victor suddenly asked in Cantonese, I hear the city plans to add a heritage overlay here. Retail hours might be limited after 10 p.m. Impact? Ethan glanced at Olivia, heart skipping. She switched instantly to Cantonese. Yes, there's a proposed overlay. We've modeled 2 scenarios. A. Keep podium-level retail open until 9:30 p.m. B. Split retail into 2 zones, a quiet retail closing at 9 p.m. and an essential services zone running until 10 p.m. with noise reduction. NPV drops 1.8% in Scenario B, but tax incentives remain as the cultural exchange element still qualifies. Switching to English, she cued Daniel, who pulled the ROI sheet onto the side camera, underlining the NPV line. Victor nodded, moving to digital payments. Olivia handed off to Noah, who demoed dynamic QR linked to bills, a mock refund, and end-of-day reconciliation. A board member asked about AML. Noah replied crisply, We use a PSP with integrated KYC/AML, batch-controlled refund gateway, and transaction limits, flagged by guest nationality rather than currency. Olivia added in Mandarin, This reduces false positives and fund holding time. The thin man smiled faintly. Tea Lounge went live. Sophia poured tea without theatrics, just precision. Olivia explained, This ritual sets the pace for business dialogue. KPIs are T-hour F&B revenue, conversion rate to meetings, and satisfaction scores. No canned background music, no excess decor. In the chat, a board member typed, Compared to Regent Aurora? Olivia didn't disparage them. She gave numbers. We don't run off-season mooncake festivals or hang lanterns. We train staff to understand the why, not just the what. As a result, Chinese guest repeat visits rose X% in the first weeks, and average stay length increased by 0.5 days. Just as the Tea Lounge segment was running smoothly, Inspector Roger Fields unexpectedly returned for a follow-up on warning signs and exits. A new staffer had moved 2 chairs, blocking a third of an exit route. Roger frowned. Ethan went pale. Olivia signaled to stop pouring, slid the chairs back to the marked line, showed Roger the updated floor plan, and, speaking his language, said, We own the miss. Roger nodded, signing the digital acknowledgement. It all unfolded on camera. On the board's screen, Victor tilted his head. This was a safety culture lesson worth more than any slogan. The Q&A turned to people. A female board member asked in Mandarin, "You were once a black housekeeper. Now you're a director. How will your system avoid missing others like you?" Ethan answered in English. Olivia interpreting, "We require full resume reviews for all positions, add a hidden skills section, open lateral application channels, provide language stipends, and run the Hidden Talents program led by Ms. Thomas." Olivia added, "In the first month, 17 people were identified, 3 promoted, 5 given stipends. All 30 in the pilot have individual development plans." The meeting moved to its final item, recommendations. Victor looked around, then at Olivia. "Any last words?" Olivia delivered them in Cantonese for the thin man, Mandarin for the full board, and English for Ethan, fluent and unbroken. The Wellington chooses to serve context, not perform culture. We've embedded culture into processes, not backdrops, into KPIs, not decorations. If given the opportunity, we'll open our operations book for your team to verify any time. She bowed slightly. Victor muted, conferred privately for 90 seconds, long as an hour. When the feed resumed, he spoke slowly, through Grace Lynn acting as secretary today. The board votes 6-0 to move from LOI to binding MOU, with the condition of scaling the cultural solution chain-wide within 6 months. Ethan couldn't hold back a clenched fist pump, not raised, but visible. Linda Parker leaned toward Olivia. "Write me the chain manual." The call ended. Congratulations flooded in, but in the room, only the faint hiss of boiling water remained. Ethan turned to Olivia. "You're staying, right?" His eyes weren't pleading. They were the eyes of someone ready to build a system around the right capability. Olivia looked at the black card, the embossed number reel, but she also saw Ely Nguyen's eyes in training, Emma Brooks's tear-wet smile, and the words, "Don't perform. Serve. Still warm." "I'll stay," she said, "but on 2 conditions, learning budgets for the front line and the right to measure honestly. If it doesn't work, we roll back." Ethan nodded. "Deal." Linda added, "And I want the talent finder protocol in 30 days. Olivia pocketed the card. The storm had passed, but the flight path had just opened. In the tea lounge, Sophia poured another round. No lanterns, no off-season mooncakes. Just tea at the right temperature, dialogue in the right language, and a hotel turning from beautiful to deep. Beginning the day, one woman stood at a threshold and said, "Excuse me." The kickoff meeting for the Talent Finder Protocol, TFP, was packed. Linda Parker, Regional Vice President, Ethan Harrison, Olivia Thomas, Carla Monroe, HR, Jared Holmes, Legal, Daniel Price, Finance, Noah Kim, IT, Emma Brooks, Head of Housekeeping, Union Rep, Tom Delgado, and Operations Manager Cheryl Owens. Linda was direct. "In 30 days, I need a standardized process to find, verify, redeploy hidden talent. With a matching compensation policy, deliver that, and I'll scale it chain-wide." Carla flagged the risk. Measuring hidden talent can slip into favoritism, or worse, discrimination. Jared added, "We need objective evidence and an auditable record." Tom tapped his pen. "And we can't send the hidden message that, to be seen, you have to leave housekeeping. Seniority still needs to be respected." Olivia laid out a 12-page draft. TFP equals 3 tracks. 1. Discover. Anonymous survey redesigned, not just ticking, speaks a foreign language, but describing context of use. Page 2 rule. Read the entire resume, especially education skills. Open Lab. A 30-minute trial roll session, e.g., handling a language scenario, building an SOP, solving an ops case. 2. Verify. Blind review by a panel stripped of personal info, no name/uniform/department. Scoring against a 5-criteria rubric: technical accuracy, context, business impact, safety, ethics. Requires evidence, demo, certification, peer reference. 3. Redeploy. Promotion or secondary assignment with stipend. Contract specifies time. Allocation for the skill and KPI, seniority protection for those who want to remain in their current role while contributing extra skills, e.g., language pay. TFP doesn't force movement, Olivia said, meeting Tom's eyes. It builds a bridge for those who want to cross. Daniel presented numbers. After 1 month of T-Lounge plus digital payments plus multi-gen rooms, RevPAR was slightly up. T-Hour F&B plus 18%, digital transactions at 32% for Chinese guests, ADR steady. Carla stayed cautious. I need a 6-month ROI. Ethan interjected, This isn't a social program. This is competitive workforce strategy. The cheapest resources are the ones we already have but don't use. Jared insisted on legal guardrails, anti-discrimination commitment, transparent selection steps, no penalty opt-out from dual roles. Olivia agreed. Add an independent complaint line, log every TFP decision for audit. Linda jotted. Good. Next. Bad news hit. Regent Aurora launched a Tea Emperor Suite campaign with lanterns, canned Chinese music, and a mocking slogan, Hotel Moon Cake. Social media revived Wellington's old translation blunder. Ethan scowled. Olivia stayed calm. Don't perform. Serve. Open a public class. Tea in operations, not in performance for the local press. Let anyone see the real SOP. Linda blinked, bold but true to the spirit. The open class exceeded expectations. Sophia, F&B, poured tea at the correct temperature. Olivia explained tea rhythm as a negotiation stage. Noah demoed dynamic QR. Roger Fields, inspector, dropped by and gave a short nod. A blogger tried to corner her. Isn't this catering to Chinese guests? Olivia replied, No. This is giving a segment its language. For European mice, we adjust wine and mealtimes. For Chinese business travelers, we adjust tea and payment. Fairness is everyone gets their own language. That afternoon, a delegation from Shenzhen visited, accompanied by the mother of a partner company's CFO, an elderly lady who spoke only Teochew. Grace Lin was stuck at the airport. At the desk, communication stalled. Ethan looked at Olivia. She pulled up the fresh TFP survey. Section Rare Languages. Lin Tran, pastry cook of Vietnamese Chinese heritage, listed Teochew, family level. Emma brought Lin up. Lin greeted the lady in Teochew, voice as soft as worn silk. The woman's smile lit up like a switch. Minutes later, she was seated in the tea lounge, fingers tracing the porcelain cup like touching a memory. Olivia stood back, letting the moment work. Afterward, the CFO shook Ethan's hand. Small detail, big trust. Late that night, Regent Aurora emailed Olivia an offer. Global Cultural Strategy with a sweet salary. Olivia smiled, filed it straight into noise. She had more urgent work, finalizing TFP. Over the next 3 days, Olivia and Carla refined the rubric. Jared tightened the legal language. Tom proposed fairness weighting for night shifts. Emma authored a guest journey from backstage module to honor housekeeping craftsmanship, from hanging coats without creases to placing white tea and jasmine diffusers so scent spreads evenly without irritation. Noah built an internal portal for staff to submit 90-second skill videos. In plain clothes, no uniforms, no names, only an ID code. At the first evaluation session, the boardroom was taut as wire. Videos rolled, a front desk clerk speaking business Japanese, a security officer presenting a bilingual evacuation map, a kitchen worker explaining allergy safety in Spanish and English, Eli Nguyen demoing a dashboard reading POS logs by T-hour segments. When the panel scored, no one knew who they were judging. Blind IDs make you listen to the content, Linda murmured. On day 30, Olivia placed TFPV 1.0 on Linda's desk. 1 playbook, 35 pages, 6 SOPs, 3 rubrics, 1 data portal, 1 complaint line. Ethan read, this time starting with page 2. Linda signed a green light for 3 pilot hotels. 6 months to roll chain-wide, she said. Brace for the storm. The storm came early. Forecast, widespread power outage. Friday night, the exact night of the Zhang International Board's family banquet at the Wellington. No power equals no network, equals no QR, Noah hissed. Daniel frowned. Manual reconciliation will be a nightmare. Roger Fields texted, outage, surprise safety inspection. Ethan looked at Olivia. She nodded, the old mantra surfacing. Don't perform. Serve. They opened the emergency plan book. Tomorrow night the wires would cut. People would have to connect. Wind lashed the windows like a whip. 1906. The city went dark, block by block, until Wellington itself blacked out. Amber emergency lights flickered on. The generator didn't start. An oil sensor had tripped a fault. Plan Delta, Ethan said, voice flat as a steel ruler. Noah bolted for the engine room. Sophia Martinez half drew the tea lounge curtains, turned on warm flashlight beams. Emma Brooks deployed her housekeeping team to lay guide lights along the corridors according to the practiced map. Olivia opened the emergency ops manual. Page 1, safety page 2, communication page 3, core services. 1911. The Zhang International Group arrived by the glow of phone flashlights. Victor Zhang entered last, beside the Teochew-speaking elder from the other night. Olivia bowed in Mandarin, then switched seamlessly to Cantonese. Power will be back soon. We've set up lit paths and safe hot water. The elder squinted, smiled. Danding, calm. The first knot loosened. Digital payments were down with the network. QR codes useless. Noah called up. Generator in 10 to 12 minutes, but the external network might still be unstable. Trigger offline mode. Olivia turned to the desk. Paper ledger. IOU forms per legal template. Sonia Patel, front desk, prep bilingual forms. Daniel, attach reference codes for reconciliation. Ava Reed, stagger guests into small groups. Sonia pulled out pre-approved forms with Jared Holmes's sign-off, clipped them to wooden boards. A small sign reading, Don't Perform. Serve, was placed alongside. A freelance reporter raised a camera. Emma stepped in with a soft smile. Ma'am, safety first, images later. Please follow this way. Gentle voice, steady hand. The kind of backstage authority no class teaches. 1916. Roger Fields appeared like a shadow inspector. Exits? Emma pointed to the lit path. Heat sources? Sophia lifted the electric kettle with temperature limiter. Warning signs already affixed. Roger nodded, jotting quickly. Compliant. Temporary event. Ethan exhaled. Not a win, but still on their feet. 1918. The generator roared to life. White light returning in patches. External network still shaky. Noah switched POS to internal batch offline mode. Eli Nguyen set up a battery-powered router to keep security cameras and dispatch online. Priority: Tea Lounge, Front Desk, Elevator 2, Noah said. Number 3 for medical emergencies only. Olivia nodded. relaying in Mandarin Cantonese to Victor's group. No music, no show. The tea rhythm ran on human voices. Tea lounge. Sophia poured the first round in the warm glow. White tea for the elder, oolong for the board, pu'er for Victor. Olivia explained in Mandarin. Tea is how we slow urgency to make room for dialogue. The elder smiled, waved his hand. How? Man Lai, good, take your time. A small network dip froze the POS. Daniel frowned. Batch took but hasn't logged. We might need full manual reconciliation. Olivia twirled her pen. Accept it. Timestamp every transaction. Service first, accounting later. Ethan met her eyes, an unspoken okay. Just then, a Regent Aurora rival blogger slipped in, live streaming. Wellington blackout, tea lounge chaos. Emma moved in. You're standing too close to the emergency exit. Roger looked up. Indeed, please move. The blogger faltered, killed the feed, slipped out. Ethan murmured to Olivia. They wanted us to perform. Thanks for not performing. 1941. Victor leaned toward Olivia, speaking softly in Cantonese. A board member's mother can't handle sweets. Any warm, comforting dish? Olivia glanced at Sophia. Fragrant rice porridge? Hot kitchen needs stable generator. Sophia hesitated. Lin Tran, the pastry chef who had saved the day with Teochew before, raised her hand. I can make porridge with a travel electric pot in the backup area. No flame. Compliant. 20 minutes. Roger overheard, nodded. Fine, as long as the outlet is safe and not blocking egress. Emma taped the cord neatly, marked with caution tape. While waiting, Olivia sat beside the elder, conversing in Teochew about lotus seed dessert in Guangzhou and Hanoi street scenes. It wasn't PR. It was living anthropology. He told old stories, eyes misting in places. The board listened silently to the slow cadence of a rare language. When the porridge arrived, he tasted it, nodding 3 times. Olivia said just one sentence to Ethan in English. Trust accrued. 20:05. External network slowly returned. POS pushed the batch. QR codes turned green again. Sonia collected IOUs. Daniel flagged reconciliations. Noah sent uptime reports to Linda. Eli photographed the guide light layout, logging on off times. Everything left a trail. At the close of the meal, Victor rose. No microphone. Tonight, he said in English, then switched to Mandarin, I saw a hotel use people as its backup wiring. He glanced at the elder, who spoke a few lines in Teochew. Olivia translated. The lights went out, but hearts stayed bright. Light laughter rippled through the room. They moved to a small meeting room. No live stream, no cameras. Victor set a leather folder on the table, looked at Linda, then at Ethan and Olivia. The board proposes advancing the MOU to a master contract, provided Wellington trains 3 hotels in the chain on TFP within 180 days and delivers the chain-level cultural playbook. Linda exhaled, shoulders dropping half an inch. On behalf of the region, we accept. People drifted out. Victor stayed with Olivia. He pulled from his wallet another black business card with handwriting on the back. Director, East-West Strategy, new position at Zhang International. He spoke in Mandarin, then switched immediately to English, knowing this was a life decision. You have 2 doors. Stay and build a system for the hotel industry from within, or come with me and build bridges for many industries. Both are right. I just don't want you to shrink. Olivia was silent. In her pocket was her new badge, Director of International Guest Relations, and in her wallet the old frayed housekeeping ID, a reminder of the black housekeeper who was once invisible. The power was back, But one thing shouldn't be switched on too fast. The answer. She looked up. If I go with you, I want to set up a Hidden Talents Scholarship Fund for frontline employees, flexible grants to transfer skills, and a research lab with Professor Li Wei on context-based translation in business. Victor paused half a second, then smiled. Deal, if you accept. Outside, the tea lounge was neatly closed. Emma switched off the last warm lamp. On the table was the faint ring from a porridge bowl and the dry trace of a storm that had just passed. Wellington stood still, like someone who had realized some nights without power illuminate the essence of an organization. As for Olivia, she left the meeting with 2 cards touching in her wallet, 1 black, 1 white. 2 roads, 1 red thread. Don't perform. Serve. Professor Li Wei's name flashed on her screen. She answered. Professor. The War Room meeting opened at 7 a.m. On the glass wall hung the Wellington Hotel's chain map, red pins marking 3 pilot sites: Wellington Harbor, Wellington Midtown, Wellington Desert Springs. Linda Parker pointed to the 180-day countdown clock. At the end of this, she said, we don't have an Olivia story anymore, we have a system. Ethan gave a small nod. Olivia Thomas, once a black housekeeper, stood at the center of the room, Playbook of Culture and TFPV 1.0 in hand. The principle doesn't change, Olivia began. Don't perform, serve. Each property will build its own language, based on its real guest segments, no cookie cutter. Noah Kim, IT, held up the network and QR resilience board, dual network layers, batch offline mode, battery-powered backup routers, standardized MCC codes. Jared Holmes, legal, added SLA and audit trail. Every cultural or guest flow decision must leave a record. Carla Monroe, HR, clipped the blind ID rubric into the packet. Union Rep. Tom Delgado reminded, protect seniority and skill stipends. No one gets punished for staying in their original role. At Wellington Harbor, GM Marcus Hale frowned at the tea lounge. Most of our guests are European cruise travelers. Is tea lounge even a fit? Olivia smiled. Then don't open a grand lounge. We do a conversation corner, a small tea setup before Asian group check-ins, keep aperitivo hours for European guests, no cultural uniforms. Marcus exhaled. Sophia Martinez sent over a minimalist tea SOP. Ava Reed scheduled a dual rhythm, tea for Asia, wine for Europe. At Wellington Midtown, the CFO slapped the table. I'm worried about AML risk if we expand digital payments. Noah answered in CFO speak. PSP with integrated KYC AML, behavior-based limits, end-of-day batch reconciliation. Every transaction tagged with a reference code. Daniel Price presented a loss versus benefit sheet. Faster transaction times plus higher conversion rates in Asian mice blocks equals positive NPV after 2 quarters. Desert Springs was a staffing puzzle. GM Cheryl Owens said, my staff speaks Spanish, few have Asian languages. Olivia pointed to the TFP portal. We start with the languages you already have, no forcing anyone. At the same time, micro-learning, 50 commercial Mandarin phrases, plus context translation checklists for managers. Emma Brooks created the Guest Journey from Backstage module. Housekeeping doesn't support the show. It defines the experience. From how a coat is hung to where the white tea and jasmine diffuser is placed, so scent travels the air correctly. Another line connected to Beijing. Professor Li Wei appeared on screen. Thin frames, measured voice. We must measure what's unseen, he said. Together with Olivia, he designed the CTI, Context Translation Index, 1. Terminology accuracy, random audits of multilingual meetings, 2. channel switch speed, Mandarin Exchange Cantonese Exchange English, without meaning loss. 3. Business impact, KPIs tied to TQR room combo. 4. Safety compliance, inspector logs, exits, safe temps. 5. Staff dignity, TFP participation rate, stipend count, voluntary nature. Linda nodded. If it's measurable, it's scalable. While the rollout moved forward, Regent Aurora kept pushing Tea Emperor Suite ads, even hiring influencers to stage year-round lantern displays. At peak, they released a parody video of Hotel Mooncake, implying Wellington played word games to close deals. Ethan asked Olivia, "Do we sue?" Jared said, "If they misrepresent facts, maybe. But winning isn't the same as being right." Olivia nodded. Second open house. Invite press, bloggers, inspectors. Let them see inside. SOPS, KPIS, audit trail. Let anyone film. Linda froze for a moment, then smiled. The confidence of a system is letting others look without fear. The second open house was packed. In the tea corner, Lin Tran, the Teochew-speaking pastry chef, chatted with an elderly guest from Shenzhen, her expression softening like touching childhood again. At the desk, Sonia Patel demoed offline IOU, proof that when the wire breaks, people connect. Roger Fields stood with arms crossed, gave a single small nod, which, from Roger, was a standing ovation. Then an unexpected leak flared on an industry forum. Wellington promotes housekeeping to Polish PR. Tom Delgado slammed the table. They're conflating. Carla pushed forward data, blind ID panels, objective rubrics, promotion, non-promotion ratios by department, stipends tied to actual skill use. Olivia wrote an open piece. No one is promoted because they're in housekeeping. They're promoted because of measurable ability, and those who choose to stay are recognized with stipends and growth plans. The post spread fast, not because it was defensive, but because it invited scrutiny. In the middle of the storm, Victor Zhang appeared quietly at Midtown, no entourage. He sat in a corner, listened to a security guard give a halting Mandarin exit route, then smiled as he saw Emma adjust a warning sign to eye level for seniors. He texted Olivia, "Context before content. Keep going." Week 10, the CTI pilot results came in. Harbor scored 3.8 out of 5. Midtown, 3.6 out of 5. Desert Springs, 3.4 out of 5. Linda asked, "Lowest in what?" Olivia pointed to staff dignity. In some sites, frontline staff are hesitant to submit clips for fear of being exposed. We need to protect them better. Carla added an option to blur faces, voices in the portal. Jared tightened anonymity protocols, logging who accessed files. Week 14, a tumor surfaced. Anonymous recruitment messages targeting TFP talent, luring them to Regent Aurora with performance culture stipends. Ethan raised the red flag. Olivia stayed calm. If they want to go, let them leave by choice. We retain with meaning and opportunity, not fences. She launched the Hidden Talent Scholarship, rotating grants for frontline staff to learn new skills, language, data, safety T, in partnership with Leeway's lab. Condition: commit to share. Back at least 12 training hours with colleagues. Eli Nguyen received the first award for advanced data analytics training. Day 120, the MOU, master contract, was signed. Ethan's hand shook slightly as he signed. Linda's stroke was decisive. Victor nodded from the far end of the line. The press ran headlines. Regent Aurora countered with a giant lantern display in their lobby. That night, their tea lounge was cited by inspectors for blocking an exit. The industry buzzed with a paradox. Performance can sometimes switch off what should be lit, safety, and people. Day 175, Linda called. Next week, Global Hospitality Summit. Olivia, you'll close with see the whole person. And your decision? Olivia looked at the two business cards, black from Victor, white from Wellington, pressed together in her wallet. She remembered Lynn's porridge, the Teochew elder's smile, Noah's AML log, Emma's perfectly placed warning sign, Eli's nervous pride at running his first dashboard. Some decisions aren't stay or go, but how to build paths from anywhere. I'll answer on stage, she said. Linda didn't ask again. 5 days left on the clock. Global Hospitality Summit, main stage, soft white lights, the screen behind reading, see the whole person. In the front row sat investment fund leaders, hotel chain executives, press, bloggers, and city inspectors. And in the middle rows, Emma Brooks, Noah Kim, Sophia Martinez, Daniel Price, Carla Monroe, Jared Holmes, Tom Delgado, and Eli Nguyen. In the row beside them, Victor Zhang sat quietly next to Professor Li Wei, freshly arrived from his flight. Ethan gave a short introduction and stepped back into the shadows. Olivia walked on stage without a clicker. I'll start with a dark room, she said slowly. The lights went out, QR codes went dead, the network was gone, and people switched on. The blackout night at Wellington wasn't a problem. It was an exam, and we passed, not with staging, but with SOPs living in people's hands. Behind her, the screen showed photos. Emma laying out guide lights, Sonia printing IOUs, Eli setting up the battery router, Sophia pouring from the electric kettle, Noah sending the log, Roger signing the acknowledgement. No embellishment, just evidence. Then I rewind the tape, Olivia continued. Once I was a black housekeeper, completely invisible in a very bright lobby. Not because I was lesser, but because the system was designed for some people to disappear. That day, I said, "Excuse me," and stepped into the meeting room. The rest you already know. A small cough came from the upper rows. Olivia didn't flinch, just let a thin smile pass. She laid out the framework. TFP, Talent Finder Protocol, Discover, Verify, Redeploy. CTI-Context Translation Index, measuring what can't be seen. Hidden talents. Scholarship, grants for frontline staff, in return for 12 hours teaching back to colleagues. The screen showed 3 panels, no flashy slogans, each with its SOP, rubric, and form. We're not telling an inspiring story, we're operating. A reporter raised his hand. Isn't your PhD just PR? How do you stop culture from becoming a stage show to sell rooms? Olivia invited him to look at side-by-side photos. A Wellington tea lounge, straight-backed chairs, correct water temperature, no lanterns, and a garish competitor's lobby, unnamed, with a blocked fire exit. The difference isn't in props, it's in purpose, she said. We put culture into processes and KPIs, they put it in the backdrop. One side makes conversations easier and safer, the other makes prettier photos. An investor asked bluntly, ROI? Daniel stood from his seat speaking concisely. After 90 days, T-hour F&B plus 18%, digital transactions plus 32% in Chinese guest segment, higher return rate, low implementation cost, positive net present value in 2 quarters. But the biggest gain is reduced risk. When the network goes down, service doesn't stop. The investor nodded, numbers in his own language. A drama-loving blogger called out, "But what about Hotel Mooncake?" The room chuckled. Ethan covered his mouth. Olivia tilted her head. That was a lesson. When you outsource context to machines, the machine will hand you a punchline. Since then, we've invested in people, not to fight machines, but to put machines behind people. On the screen, context before content, people before tools. The close came. Linda Parker walked up and handed over a folder. Wellington formally issues the Talent Finder Protocol and Cultural Playbook chain-wide, she said. In 6 months, 20 properties will meet a minimum CTI of 3.8 out of 5. The audience applauded, but Olivia raised a hand. One more decision. She looked at Victor Zhang. Mr. Zhang offered me the position of Director East-West Strategy, she said, without circling around it. The room gasped. She turned to Ethan and the team. Wellington offered me to continue leading TFP and the playbook at chain level. Everyone held their breath. She drew out 2 business cards, one black with gold trim, one white, and set them on the podium. My answer is both, but in service. Then she explained. No, 2-side star speech. I'm signing part-time with Zhang International to build the East-West Strategy Lab with Professor Li Wei, focusing on context-based translation for multiple industries: healthcare, education, retail. At the same time, I'm staying at Wellington as Chief Context Officer, CCO, a new role tasked with guarding the principal. Don't perform, serve. All commitments are transparent in the contract, no exclusivity. Hidden talent scholarship co-funded by both. Ethan exhaled, as if setting down a heavy stone. Victor nodded, eyes bright with agreement. The applause wasn't rock show loud, but warm, like tea poured at just the right temperature. Emma wiped the corner of her eye. Noah sent Jared an open lock emoji. Eli looked down at his phone. The official scholarship congratulation email. During the break, a GM from another chain asked quietly, "What's your secret to staff not fearing stepping up?" Olivia replied, "Don't punish them for stepping wrong, as long as they step within a safe system. And when they're right, pay them, in stipends, promotions, and recognition in front of the whole organization." He nodded, scribbling, "Pay fairly with both hands." In the late afternoon, the Zhang International team invited the entire Wellington crew to a side room for tea. The Teochew elder lifted his cup, speaking slowly. Grace Lynn translated, but Olivia already understood. "He says," Grace smiled, "when tea is the right temperature, people see each other more clearly." The room laughed. That night, Olivia walked back into the conference hotel lobby. A janitor was bending to pick up a scrap of paper. Olivia stopped, helped him put it in the bag, then asked, as her new habit, "Do you have any skills we're not using here?" He hesitated. "I play clarinet pretty well." Olivia smiled. "Next week, the hotel needs a clarinet welcome for a group of scholars. If you want, upload a 90-second clip to the portal, no name, no uniform. We'll just listen to the music." She left, switching on her phone. In her inbox were 100 new Hidden Talent Scholarship applications. In the next tab was the Context Translation Index V2 draft from Professor Li Wei. At her fingertips was the map of cities where the playbook would travel. Each bright point was a chance to see a whole person. The story began with a whispered order: "Fire her." It ended with an open invitation: "Step in and be seen." And between those two ends of a red thread, a hotel learned to put people before tools, context before content, service before show. If you've read this far, there are likely invisible people around you too. Ask them one small question that opens the door. Do you have any skills we're not using? Then, step aside so they can walk into the light. And that's the journey from a cold "fire her" to the moment an entire system learned to see the whole person. Olivia's story didn't just save a deal, it sparked a new operational principle. People before tools, context before content, service before show. And you, have you ever overlooked a hidden talent in your workplace or community? Share your thoughts or experience in the comments below. If you found this story meaningful, don't forget to like, share so more people can hear it, and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories.